Welcome to the WINGIT call, April 17th, 2016. This is a trust call. Hold on a minute, please. Got to dry off a wet dog. Today is a trust call with Richard. Need to do a little housekeeping first. First off, on my call Friday, I was talking to Miracle Queen, and she was talking about, maybe cashing in, exchanging in a little bit to get some running money. That conversation took on a life of its own, and next thing I know, over at Winsome, they're saying that Jerry said you can go exchange for 82 cents your rupiah. Where in the hell did I ever say that at? I have no idea. That's not it. Listen to the replay. Not even anywhere close. I did not say anything like that. Secondly, I hate to address this, but people, this is a trust call. This is not Kenny's call. I don't know how that got confused and way out of whack. Thirdly, if you're a member of WINGIT and a member of Winsome, I don't care. I welcome it, but just do me a favor. If you're going to take information from the WINGIT to Winsome or Winsome to WINGIT, bring everything. Don't leave out anything. That's where the confusion is. Creates a lot of problems. So that being said, this is a trust call. Richard, take it away. Oh, *2 to raise your hand to ask questions.
Jerry, you there? Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Are you recording this, by the way?
Yes, I am. I've already
okay.
I've already hit the record button before I even started.
Okay. I have a couple of things too before we get started with the Q&A that I want to go through. One is I think we've kind of learned the secret to getting bank accounts opened up. I think that's going a whole lot smoother. I think it's simply the inexperience of the bank tellers as opposed to what we're doing. So I think that as long as we're patient and kind of have an understanding of what documents to take in and what to show them and what not to show them, I think we've kind of got it worked out. At least that's what I'm hearing lately. It's going a whole lot smoother lately than it was in the beginning necessarily. So if anybody does have a problem, I don't think anyone's been turned down, but if anyone's having a problem, call me and I'll help you walk through it. I've been getting a lot of other questions about what the process is going to be after the RV to get your trust from a law firm. So here's what I think as it stands right now, and we'll change it if it doesn't, but generally speaking, I'm holding the contracts on everybody who's submitted a contract for the trust. What's going to happen is when this thing happens and we all have money, and there's not a huge rush to do it, but we all want to do it in a timely manner. What's going to happen is that you're going to the checks that will be made out to Masters Copyrights LLC. They'll be forwarded to me. And what I want everybody to do is make a copy of their 4-page application that they sent me and include it with the check. And on the application, if there's some changes, this will be one last time to make some changes. Now, what I mean by that is maybe you've decided on a successor trustee or compliance overseer, you want to add or delete some beneficiaries, just some basic changes. Maybe an address change. Maybe it's just as simple as that. But this will be one last time to change anything on the application so everything is as current and up to date as we all can make it. So again, I would get that application out handy, make a copy of it, keep the original for yourself because that's going to be the date that's on the application is the date of your trust, and you'll have to refer to it. You're also going to look up on the introduction letter your serial number of your trust because you're going to want to put that on your check. Again, the applications will be coming to my Newport Beach address. The check will be made out for the balance of what everyone owes to Masters Copyrights, LLC. That can be found on the website. And first in, first out. The trusts, they hope to get everything completed within a month, maybe 3 weeks. And so that kind of answers that question. If anybody has any questions on that when we get in the Q&A, they can ask that. Now, here's the other thing I want to talk about a little bit today, only because so many people have an interest in this. An overwhelming amount of people have, I'll just say for lack of goodness in their heart, and they want to do things for other people. And one of the things that I wanted to mention, Masters Copyrights LLC and the law firm basically sell other types of trusts. We don't need to necessarily talk about the other kinds except the ones that we have because it's the best for our circumstances. But I also want to talk, just because some people are wanting to set up charity foundations, charitable trusts, and so I've been inquiring and learning a little bit more about it, and I just wanted to let everybody know today, and we're not going to start the same procedure on this, but Masters does have a copyrighted charitable trust, and it's very similar, the same aspects that the Masters Trust, this one has. It also is one of the trusts widely used for, I'm going to read this, so if I sound like I'm reading, I am. One of the trusts widely used for charitable reasons is our irrevocable discretionary complex, IRS code compliant, non-grantor charitable trust with a special spendthrift provision. These trusts are able to receive donations into the corpus of the trust and endowments of assets. These are normally invested, the assets are normally invested, and the income off the investments is used to distribute to the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries of this trust are usually charitable organizations that are 501c3 compliant, foundations, churches, religious causes, educational grants, and any type of worthwhile charitable groups, charitable activities, or any charitable cause. The trust is also judgment-proof because of the spendthrift provision and the irrevocable nature of the trust. And this is the important thing, because what I've learned a little bit about foundations is foundations are expensive to set up. You have to have approval by the IRS, and we all know, how long that could possibly wait. And this is the most important thing, I think. It establishes quickly, easily, and can be used immediately, unlike a 501c3 foundation, which is extremely expensive to create and takes a very long period of time to get certified by the IRS. The trust meets the Internal Revenue Code. It is in full compliance. So if people are wanting to look for something after the RV, and when hopefully we'll all have a fair amount of money, and you want to look for alternatives to foundations. There's a lot of compliance issues with foundations, and a lot of rules and regulations, and this is just not that way from what I understand. And we'll find out more, and I'll talk about it. But I just wanted to kind of lay the groundwork for that. If you are wanting to do that, then come back through us after the fact. If someone wants some information, they can email me, and I'll send out some more information about the trust. So that's all I wanted to do today. Not taking applications, not taking deposits, just letting everyone know that there may be an easier option to more complicated trusts and certainly foundations, which may take a while to establish, a lot of money from what I understand. So that's it, Jerry. That's all I've got now. And if there are any questions, we can do that now too.
Well, somebody sent me a question, and I want to read it to you. Hold on just a second. Was eating a cracker and it didn't go down. Here we go. Question is, what is the benefit of transferring ownership of foreign currency into a revocable trust prior to our exchange? That's the first question. If we walk into an exchange center without an existing revocable trust and intend to set one up at the time, the currency in our hands already has a new higher value, not purchase price value. Could you explain? If you want, I'll read it again.
Well, no, just the clarification of revocable. Was it revocable? Was a question about revocable trust or irrevocable?
Revocable.
Well, that's pretty simple. No revocable trusts offer any asset protection or tax deferral. The only way to get asset protection is through an irrevocable trust, and all irrevocable trusts are not necessarily comply with IRS codes to offer the tax deferral, the capital gains tax deferral. So the purpose of this is to turn the currency at theoretically the value that it has now, although you don't put a price on it. You assign that into the trust, into an irrevocable trust, and that the currency then becomes a capital asset of the trust. And Title 26 of the IRS Code, subparagraph 643, says that when a capital asset increases, I'm paraphrasing, a capital asset increases in price, that increase in value is capital gains tax deferred. And if this is going to be taxed, it's going to be taxed at long or short-term capital gains. So if the question is about revocable trusts, you most likely are going to be taxed. And then if you want asset protection, you're going to have to go into some type of irrevocable trust. Basically, family trusts are, from what I've learned, family trusts are revocable type trusts, and they offer neither of what we're looking for.
Okay. I think that answered that. Let me throw the room open here and see what sticks. Well, I even know how to pronounce this name. Keokuk, Iowa, 319. Come on down.
Hey, Jerry. Thanks for taking my call. First time I've been on. I appreciate what you guys are doing. One question he already answered about the irrevocable piece. But my other question is the statutory trust. Could you give me a quick Reader's Digest on what that is?
Well, from what I understand, that people throw around, and this is just, again, when I'm answering this, as I'm answering as a layman in the same situation with you are. I'm not answering it necessarily from a legal standpoint, because only attorneys can do that. But I think as it's been explained to me, statutory and non-statutory trusts, it's a term that's thrown around. And this trust is you got to go back to the five descriptive words. This is an irrevocable, complex, non-grantor, discretionary trust with spendthrift provisions. And it's not really, people call this, I know even the law firm and the website calls it a spendthrift trust, but a spendthrift trust is a different, kind of a pure spendthrift trust is a different animal. It's kind of single purpose, setting it up for someone who can't take care of themselves. But this trust complies with IRS codes, and all of the IRS codes that it complies with is outlined on the attorney's opinion letter, which I want to go back to and focus everyone on, because Title 26 is the predominant IRS law, but other things are brought into it. So it's not really a statutory or non-statutory. Is does it comply with the IRS? Does what it complies with allow it to do what it says it can do? And it does. Everything is in black and white. So that's the statutory and non-statutory. I mean, if it's non-statutory, I think people maybe get that confused with common law trusts, which are not legal. And the IRS doesn't really recognize them. So that's that's my 2 cents worth.
Okay, thanks a lot. Hey, you guys are doing a great job. Appreciate it. Blessings up. I'll mute myself.
Thank you, sir. And I want to say this. Until there's a change, we have to play within the guidelines set down by our lawmakers. I hate to say that, but you got to play the game. And the website is masterstrust.com. What I like about them is you can click on there and you can actually read the codes that they put in there from the IRS statute code book, whatever you want to call it. There are other websites that say, oh, yeah, we can do all this for you. I preferred Masters because I could actually look at a code, go to the IRS guidelines, the code book, read it, read about it, and how everything's been put together. Now, granted, I'm sure other people have done the same, but I like this website for that reason. They have put it all together, not just spendthrift trust by itself. You know, non-grantor, irrevocable, non-grantor, discretionary spendthrift trust. There you go. I wanted to put that out there. Go to the website. If you got any questions, all the tabs are on the left there. What is a trust? Spendthrift, that's a tab by itself. A spendthrift trust. Basic information, you know. They even give a case law update if it's been challenged and what has happened with the cause number to go with it. That's pretty impressive by itself. A lot of places don't do that. So the website's been put together well. So let us go on to our next caller, and that is going to be Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 754. Come on down.
Hi, Jerry.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I want to ask a question. I went on lawdepot.com, looked at their free trial period, and called myself doing up a trust, a revocable trust. My problem is I think I don't understand the difference in that and the LLC. It didn't give me a place to put the name of the trust as opposed to my name. I didn't want my name on it. You know?
I'd like to help you, but I can't. I'm not an attorney, ma'am, and neither is Richard. You're asking for attorney.
No, I know you're both not attorneys. What I'm asking is basically if either of you can tell me the difference in the LLC business as opposed to a trust.
Well, as opposed to a revocable trust or an irrevocable trust?
Revocable trust. Revocable trust.
Well, there are different types of entities. People don't realize, but a trust, the right kind of trust, can be used to operate a business just like an LLC or a corporation. And you can, the trust can have payroll, it can have independent contractors, it can run a business, and you choose among an LLC or a corporation for the tax advantages.
Okay.
a corporation and a revocable trust offer no asset protection.
Okay.
And virtually no tax deferral.
Okay.
You're not going to get any tax deferral or asset protection. It's if I personally, I wouldn't do an LLC because you're going to pay taxes.
Okay.
And right now, just like just like Sherry said, we have to. The law says today, and this until it changes, we have to play the game. That
right.
This is going to be a capital gains event. Now, whether they defer it or not, but it's going to be capital gains, short or long term, and no LLC, no revocable trust offers any kind of asset protection or any kind of tax deferral. You're going to pay taxes.
I thought before they said that the irrevocable trust, in some cases you could run into problems with the people who actually own the money being the grantor or grantors. You know what I'm saying? Like you had a little bit more stringent rules in a irrevocable trust.
Well, you have to remember the 5 words. Go back to the 5 descriptive words of this trust.
Okay.
It's a non-grantor trust, meaning that
no grantor.
It's a non-grantor trust.
Right.
In other words, the party, these guys are not. These are smart guys, and they used Scott on law and IRS codes to make this trust what it is. So that's why the position of the settler was created, so that this is not a self-granting trust. So the settler comes in with an exchange of $10 and other valuable consideration, forms the trust, and then makes the trustee if this is the way that they want it, both the initial compliance overseer and the initial trustee. And then only the trustee can endow assets into the trust. So it's this way it's set up so that most of the trustees or the family or whoever it is owns the currency, and once they assign their currency through the form that we provide into the trust, it becomes a capital asset of the trust. And you can do anything. You can endow anything, and I can endow something into your trust. I can endow it into Jerry's trust. But we endow into our own trust what our assets are, and it's held in the trust. And the increase in value of any capital asset is tax deferred until you take it out. These trusts were set. These trusts. This is kind of an interesting way to look at it. These trusts were originally set up for people who were expecting extraordinary gains. Now, in the beginning, they were set up for oil people in the Southwest, for gas royalties, because they theoretically could put their assets into the trust, and if they were expecting extraordinary gains, the increase would grow inside of the trust. And the purpose was to mitigate any tax that the beneficiaries of the trust might pay over a period of time.
Until they get ready to use it.
The what?
Until they get ready to use it, right?
Until they get ready to take it outside of the trust.
Okay.
Now, there's
several
ways that they can take it outside of the trust that are not outside of the trust. But you got to start thinking. You don't think about taking money out of the trust to buy a car or take money out of the trust to buy a house. You have to start thinking that the trust is going to buy that house or car, and that the trustee is the person that makes it all work.
Okay, and is this where they get the own nothing but run everything?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Own nothing but run everything or control everything?
That's exactly right. That's yes. You at this point you own nothing, because one of the forms that we provide is where that people have already assigned their currency into the trust. You give it away as a person, and then the trustee accepts it into the trust as a capital asset. And now it's in the trust, and when it increases in value, it's capital gains tax. It's tax deferred. This event for the currency is a capital gains event.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Seymour, Indiana, 812. Come on down.
Hello, Jay. I'd like to thank you and your group of people for everything that you've done for everybody. I've learned a lot of information. And I just want to say one thing about Richard. He helped me set up a trust, and he is a man of his word, because I had trouble at my bank twice, even after we thought we got them lined out the first time. I had trouble the second time, where they switched me to another bank to help me set this trust up, and all I had to do was call Richard, and he talked to the banker, and within an hour, I was walking out of the bank with the trust set up. So Richard is a man of his word.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Now, do you have a question, please?
Oh, no. I just wanted to let everybody know that if Richard says he'll help you, he will help you.
Well, thank you very much. Are you satisfied with the trust that you have so far, knowing the little bit that you know about it before you get informed about the rest of it?
Yeah. I've been researching trusts, and was looking for something like this where I could basically use this as a tax-deferred event, because I really don't like paying our government taxes, and because they can't manage what we give them now, why do we need to give them any more? And this is what I've been looking for.
Well, thank you very much. Go ahead.
Jerry, may I say something? Just along those lines, we haven't even started learning about this trust yet. One of the things that I know that we're going to do is the most immediate. Jerry has agreed that we're going to, after the event happens, that we're going to come back on here and talk about a few things and what we can do, and he's generously agreed to let us come back on so we can reach the maximum amount of people we can very quickly. But one of the things that we know that we're going to do in at least Dallas, not in Houston, but in Dallas, is we're going to have a training event pretty quick after the RV. And people may not even have their trust yet, but I know that we're going to have a training event, and hopefully we all have money just to either pop in a first-class seat, put your behind in a first-class seat on a airplane, or for heaven's sakes, get a charter plane, just a private plane, and start training. So we really haven't even touched the training yet. I know people are very patient, and they want to know what's going on, and we've got some people more than others, and that's fine. So I just know that we haven't even started the training yet on this thing.
I don't know if he's still there. Seymour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still here. And Richard, I guess I do have a question, because one thing you guys said, I haven't received a letter of transfer, and I was doing my own research, and what I found is I could write up my own letter of transfer and have it notarized, as long as it had the trust name and the EIN number. Is that true?
Yeah, but if you didn't receive it, send me an email. I'll get it to you.
Okay, I'll send you an email as soon as I go back on mute then.
Yeah, and I can get it for you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. You're welcome. Thank you all.
Thanks a lot.
Danvers, Massachusetts, 978. Come on down.
Hey, thank you for picking up the call. I have a question for Richard. I did do a trust via the IRS to get the EIN number, and I'm not sure if that's the way I want it to go. So, if I was to go with your firm, would I be able to cancel that trust?
You would probably just not. I mean, the question here is: when you went in, did you push the right button? Did you get a trust EIN number, and then you went and got an irrevocable trust EIN number?
Yes, I did. I have the papers with me. Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to use the same name?
You know, what my concern was, I was happy with the name, but I don't have a copy machine. So I sent it to my accountant, and I heard Eiko say not to tell anybody about your name to your trust, and so I don't know. I'd like to use the name because I think it's.
Yeah, but
right.
attorneys have a different level of responsibility. I mean, people want to use good judgment, and keep things as private as possible. Not because we're hiding anything, but we want to keep things. One of the purposes of this trust is basically to remain some anonymity to what we're doing, as opposed to a family trust where we put our names in there. So I don't think that if you have an EIN number, it should be an 81 dash number, I believe. I mean, I know they are now. Then you can use the same name and use the same EIN number. I'd like to see it just to make sure that it is what it.
Yeah, I did send you an email. I was listening and looking at your site here, and what I'm talking to you about, I wrote down on the email as well. So I put my cell number, I don't have a copy machine, so if you can send me an application, all that kind of stuff. Now, if I sent her a copy, like the registration copy, and like I said, I'm not up to all these things. There's no way they can use that. You know what I'm saying? It's not my attorney; it's an accountant. Yeah.
I think you're overthinking this. I think that just call her back and get it back. Do you have a copy of it?
I have everything, but she took a copy of my original. She's got it on file.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's any issues.
Okay.
Can't imagine that. They have a responsibility to keep things private.
Yeah.
But you're not. It's not like you're, blabbing it to the world. You're not putting on a billboard or anything. I want as least as possible. But see, keep in mind, if this trust is not. I've heard of some family type trust where the attorneys want you to record it at the county recorder. Mm-hmm. You don't register this trust. You don't record it. You don't even need to get most of the documents notarized.
Okay.
This is a private trust. It's a private document, and you don't even show the assignments of your currency. You don't show that to anybody. That's private to your trust.
Yeah, I've not done anything like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've only been aware this the last 3 months, and really been listening since November of last year. So on the last 3 years, in November of last year. So anyway, so I'm just, there's so much information, that's coming through, and I just want to be cautious, and
Sure.
That's all I can do. But I did send you. Hopefully, you'll get the email, and I'll get everything squared off because I do need assistance. I do. I'm a single parent, and it's just my son and I just I told him it's all Greek to me.
Well, but there was a lady I talked to this morning. And she was apologizing because I'm sorry I'm asking these questions. I'm sorry I don't know more than I know. And I just said, listen, you just got to learn it. Quit apologizing for what you don't know, because there's probably a lot I don't know about what you do. I don't, I'm not going to apologize for not knowing what you know, but I just don't know it. And if you've never had a reason to want to look into this stuff, into these trusts and everything, you don't know what you don't know what you don't know. So,
well, you want to go to someone that has integrity. That's the important thing. That's where I want to go. I don't want to go left or right. I just want to go straight up.
Well, I just want to reiterate one more time.
Okay.
That for a law firm to expose themselves like Rosen exposed themselves by putting their opinion letter on the internet, open to virtually anybody that can look at it, especially prior to providing services. And then for Paul Rosen to do a 2 or 3 minute video that he puts on the website. I mean, you gotta, if it's not correct, it's disbarable. I mean, it's a disbarable offense. And by now, the Texas bar is as visible as it is, I would think, knowing if the Texas bar is like the California bar, attorneys are guilty until they're proven innocent. And they're very strict. So that's what you got to look at. Who's going to give you the information? Who's going to put it out there? And if you go with somebody that's giving you information, ask them for the attorney's opinion letter. Tell me why your trust does what it says it's going to do. And it's just as simple as it. If someone won't, or say, well, you don't need that now, we'll tell you. No. No.
Yeah, that's why I want to find out about what kind of trust that I need, and asking the attorney that, and it's like, okay, but I still don't know what I need and how to pull this together.
Well, let me just give you just one rule of thumb here. And so everybody, I'm not preaching. I don't want to preach, but you're not going to find a revocable trust that has asset protection. You're not going to find a revocable trust that has asset protection and tax deferral. So no matter how far you look and who you talk to, revocable trusts will offer you none of that. Secondly, all irrevocable trusts don't offer both of those things. So it has to be written. If you took one of those 5 descriptive words away from this trust, it loses a part of it that just kind of destroys the whole trust. So when you're explaining this trust to somebody, when you're explaining it to them, you have to, because here's what would happen. You call up an attorney and said, this idiot on a conference call was telling me that a irrevocable spendthrift trust provides tax deferral. An attorney, maybe a knowledgeable attorney, would say, well, that's not true. So you come back to me and you say, my attorney said a irrevocable spendthrift trust doesn't provide asset protection or tax deferral. Based on what that attorney knew, he was absolutely right.
Yeah, I want to do the right thing. I'm not trying to get away from anything. I just don't understand the logistics of setting up a trust that would be feasible for myself and my son, and I want to do
Ma'am?
everything of and above. Yeah.
Ma'am, so that's why if I want to try to get some more callers in here, and I want to help you best I can, but if you go to the masterstrust.com
I got it right
site,
in front of me.
There you go. Read about that, and then you can actually send Richard an email. And
I did. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Well, I'll call you and we'll talk some more.
Bless you. Bless you guys again. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. So I want to read this to you, and then we'll go to our next caller. It says, "Hi, Jerry. I'm listening on the web to the trust call. So Masters Trust doesn't have a grantor or a settler." That's the first question. "As an individual, can you make an endowment into a trust with any assets you own? And as such, can you become a beneficiary of this type of trust? Am I correct?" So we hit that in the very beginning, but if you'll just give a quick synopsis of that, Richard, then we'll go on to our next caller.
Okay. The title of the settler, which is absolutely in this trust, was created so that you're not doing a self-granting trust. The IRS they don't particularly look favorable on that. They really don't believe if you're self-granting that you may not take it back at some point. So the settler was created so that the settler, through several signatures, his sole job is to come in to the trust through the signatures and appoint the trustee and the initial trustee and initial compliance overseer. And then that settler can never have any beneficial interest, can't have any influence over, can't take anything back, can't change anything ever again. And that's what makes it a non-grantor trust. Because in a grantor trust, that guy could change his mind. So that's not that. I think the question in the beginning was, he said that there was no settler on this and no grantor. No, there's a settler. On the first page of the application, it's right there, and it explains it in the website. And the second paragraph of the trust specifically says that the settler can have no beneficial interest in the trust at all. Now, what was the second question? It was
so Masters Trust doesn't have a grantor or a settler, and the settler, all he does in layman's terms is open the trust for you and then has nothing to do with it after the fact.
That's correct.
And then the grantor should be a non-grantor, and that's where the rest of it comes into play. As an individual, can you make an endowment into the trust with any assets you own? And as such, can you become a beneficiary of this type of trust? From what I'm gathering here, he wants to know if he can put it in there. Let's see, as an individual, can I make an endowment? Oh, go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, you can endow anything into the trust that you have ownership or control of. Now, I could also endow into another trust if I wanted to. Anybody can endow in any trust that they want to. But if you want to do that or not, there you are. But you can't. So that once the capital assets are in the trustee, to answer the question, once the trustee is formed, the trustee cannot be a beneficiary of this trust. It's set up for other beneficiaries. The typical trust here that I've seen is that a man and a woman come in with possibly children, and the man and the woman arm wrestle, or whatever decision they make, who's going to become the initial compliance overseer, the initial trustee. Then the other spouse becomes a beneficiary, and the children, if they have them, or brothers and sisters, would be additional beneficiaries. But the trustee cannot be a beneficiary of this trust. And you have to have it. Go ahead.
Let me explain it like this. Here's the pecking order. At the top is a general. Then you got your officers, which would be your your trustees, and then you got your privates as your beneficiaries. A trustee cannot be busted back to a private.
That's right.
But a private can be raised in rank to an officer
and
to operate in the trust.
And
you can go up.
General.
Yeah. You can go up in rank, but you can't go back down. That's the simplest way to explain it.
That's right. That's a good way. Yep.
So here we go. We're going to Buda, Texas. 512. Come on down.
Yeah, Jerry,
Roy?
thanks for taking my call. Richard, I just have a quick question. Once post-RV, are we able to write a check for tithes out of the trust to your church?
Yeah, if the church is the answer is yes. It would be helpful if the church was a bona fide 501c3 or whatever they are in the religious area. But yes, you can.
It is. But they don't have to be a beneficiary.
No, sir.
Okay. Did you find out if we will be able to gift the $14,000 to the beneficiaries or to someone else?
I guess I'm kind of glad you brought that up because we had
talked about this before.
Yeah, I know, and so I want to kind of have some time to rethink that. The best way that you may have to do this is to take some of the money personally, and then you can give $14,000 to anybody you want to, and a husband or wife could give $14,000 each to the same person. And when I say that, I mean there may be several ways to take the money, borrowing it,
but not do it out of the trust.
I want to hold it. I think I just don't know right now. We're looking into it, and I know that I said that because I was told that, and then now we're looking into that.
Okay.
But there's an awful lot of stuff you can do, on behalf of the beneficiaries. It's not taxable.
Right. Now, it's one thing you
I'll find out.
Okay, it's one thing you had mentioned. If you purchase a car from the trust, you put it in the trust name, care of your name, and as a trustee. Do you have to put your name on that registration? Can it just be the trust name?
The state of California won't do that. I don't know about Texas, but here's what I'd like everybody to start thinking about. Don't start thinking about you buying a car and then putting it in the trust. Think about the trust buying it, and you're the trustee of the trust. So that's exactly what I mean. The trust buying the car, but I don't want to put my name on the registration. And you'll have to find out in Texas. I know they won't, but here's the thing: that my name on my car registration, it's in the trust. If my name is on there, comma TTEE or trustee, and that's a different entity than me as a person. So you're going to have to find out. Go to the DMV in Texas and ask if that. You may not have to. I just don't know.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's all my questions. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are going to Tacoma, Washington, 253. Come on down. Tacoma, Washington, 253. Come on down. Hello, Tacoma, Washington, 253. Well, okay. Oh, here we go. Anonymous, you raised your hand. Come on down.
Is that me?
That's you.
Okay. I have a couple questions.
Is this the lady that was concerned about security and is blocking her number that I talked to the other day?
Yeah, it is.
Well, you don't have to do that with me.
Well, I understand that. It's a practice.
I understand. Go ahead.
My question is, say someone is in a non-typical situation. You just described a typical trustee with, a couple and kids. Let's assume that you are single, no significant other, no children or obvious beneficiaries. How would you use a trust like this? How would you set something like that up for a person like that?
Well, in order to have a trust set up, you have to have a beneficiary. Now, the beneficiaries can be your church, any kind of legitimate animal shelter, women's shelter. I set up a trust for a man that lost his wife several years ago, and he wanted his beneficiary to be the university. Well, I'm not going to tell you a university scholarship fund, because his wife went to school there, and that's his only beneficiary. You can make your dog a beneficiary if you've got one. Now, whether the dog's not going to be able to be your successor trustee or not. But that's the way
basically you just have to have a beneficiary to initiate it. So it could be extended family, like siblings or extended family, just to get it initially set up, but that beneficiaries can change?
Yes, the beneficiaries can change.
Okay, how specific do they have to be? Do they have to be defined as in a specific individual, or can it be a class of people, like siblings, cousins?
Well, here's what I would do, just to get it started, is pick one, at least one. Pick somebody. It may make you more comfortable to pick a church or some kind of charitable organization until you want to take your time. And in your documents that you'll have, you have the documents in there to add and delete beneficiaries as you see fit. And you can always add them after you've got some time to think about it. But we can't form a trust without at least one beneficiary.
Okay.
So pick your favorite sibling and put him or her in there for the time being.
Okay. Is there any time frame or time limit on the life of a trust, or can it exist forever so long as there is an appropriate succession of trustees and beneficiaries?
The trust needs to be renewed every 21 years, but theoretically, you're exactly right. It depends on how the successors and then the successors to the successors are lined up as to how long it can go. It can go till it runs out of money or till the last of the bloodline. I'm not using this as a bloodline trust, but I'm just saying as long as the family goes and keeps the succession plan in place. It can go 200 years, 300 years. Yeah.
Okay. And could you go over the 5 descriptors again? I got 4 out of 5 of them.
Yep. Irrevocable.
Okay.
Means that the basic tenets of the trust cannot be changed. Certain things inside the trust can be changed, beneficiaries, the trustees, some other things. But the basic tenets of the trust, you don't want to change them because then you lose the benefits. Complex is the next one, and that means that this is not a single-purpose trust. It can literally be used to do anything. Hold assets, run a business, whatever. Non-grantor means that it is not a self-granting trust. The IRS looks at this differently, and that combined with the irrevocability gives it, some of the benefits that it has. So it's a non-grantor trust. Discretionary means that at the sole discretion of the trustee, profits and trust assets are paid out to the beneficiaries or not paid out to the beneficiaries. You can treat beneficiaries differently. You could have 5 beneficiaries and treat them all differently. No one is no one can lay claim to a percentage of the trust. And you can do something for all, nothing for all, or something for one at the total discretion. And that discretionary part of the trust, then in compliance with Title 26 of the IRS Code, subparagraph 643, says that at least this event is going to be a capital gains tax-deferred event as long as you have your currency assigned into your trust prior to the increase in currency. So those are the five. Well, the spendthrift. Okay, the other one's the spendthrift provision, and it's the spendthrift provisions gives it the inability, as long as the trust was set up properly. And when I say set up properly with the right intentions, meaning that and this is not a you, this a person is trying to avoid a judgment, a current judgment, or trying to hide assets, for instance, from a spouse, trying to hide assets, that can be overturned. But as long as it's set up for the right reasons, a turnover order cannot be issued by a judge for any indebtedness owed by a beneficiary or the trustees. And you just got to think, Mr. OJ, that's the best and worst example. But he had to have the same provisions for him not to be, for the Goldmans not to get any assets from him when they won the civil case.
Okay.
So that's
Thank
that.
you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, last caller of the day, Pensacola, Florida, 850. Come on down.
Hey, Jerry, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm great, thanks. My husband and I just got a master's trust with Richard, and everything he says about it is true. He was great following through with us. It went well at a bank we had never had any relationship with, so that was all great. My husband is going to be the trustee and compliance officer or overseer, and I'm going to be the beneficiary. So my question is, at the initial revaluing, or when we are exchanging our currency, how do you get money out? So we would like to kind of pay off, a lot of debt that we have now so that we're equal. How do we do it initially? I mean, is it just like any bank account where you just take out the money, or the beneficiary would take out the currency in my name? Or would my husband how would you do it?
What I would do if it's to immediately pay off debt. Now it depends on what kind of debt. I mean, if you're wanting to pay off a mortgage, then once you assign your house into the trust, then the trust can pay off the mortgage or make the mortgage payments, and that's very different than if you had a credit card debt or some other kind of debt. What you have the ability to do in the trust on things of personal like this is maybe what you do is take a loan from the trust, which you have the ability to do, and put it in your personal bank account, pay off those debts, get them resolved. But if it's a car, if it's your home, if it's another asset that you have, asset that has value to it, you want to assign it into the trust, and then you can settle the account, and the trust can settle the account. Okay.
And then we can learn more about how to use the trust at your seminars then.
Yes, we're gonna do a lot more training.
Okay, fabulous. Thanks so much for taking my call, and thanks, Richard, for your help.
Yes, ma'am. My pleasure.
Well, everybody, it could be, we could talk for hours, but I only want to do an hour call today. It's Sunday. Hopefully we won't be having the WINGIT call tomorrow, but, the way things are looking, darn it, I still got my fingers crossed. Anyway, Richard, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
This is the end of the trust call. I'll post it on the web here in just a little bit.